In the late hours of April 17th, Deadline Hollywood broke the scoop that Jonathan Majors had been dropped by his management agency. 1 day later, he had been dropped from another movie and another ad campaign. Now, many are wondering how long till the other shoe drops? How long till he is fired from his role as Kang in the MCU? Well, I am here to tell you that chances are he already has been, the public just haven't been told yet. Sit tight, because in this editorial, we're gonna take a deep dive inside of Hollywood studio politics, and explore why Jonathan Majors won't be failing upwards, but instead end up being flushed out of the industry. So, be ready to watch this video till the end, smash that like and hit subscribe if you haven't already, as we explore how Jonathan Majors went from being the hottest actor of this generation to cancelled overnight, why all the evidence suggests he already has been fired from the MCU, and if there is any way back for him from all this. While Jonathan Majors had already played a Kang variant in Loki, he was all the rage during the premiere of Marvel's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Every single review from the entertainment media complex praised him as the highlight of the movie. Every single red carpet interview treated him as the best thing since sliced bread, and they all did so using the exact same wording and key phrases. They did that because they were following talking points supplied to them, because for the first time in a while, Hollywood, pushed forth by Disney, were trying to manufacture a star. They've done this before. Sam Worthington and Taylor Kitsch are previous examples of actors Hollywood tried to make happen, pushing them into every blockbuster under the sun for a limited time, right up until they knew the audience weren't having it, and then they moved on. In the case of Jonathan Majors, Marvel and Disney needed the audience to buy into Kang as this larger-than-life villain who is greater than Thanos in every way, and to facilitate that, they tried to manufacture a larger-than-life star. They got the full backing of everyone else, of course, because Hollywood does miss the day of the movie star, when the presence of certain talent would guarantee a certain return, and Jonathan Majors won the proverbial lottery by being the one the industry put its weight behind. But it was not to last. The trouble started with the now famous incident with his girlfriend. Majors' legal team claimed there was nothing to see here, move along, that there was a video exonerating him and everything, so this would all be over in a matter of days, and that might have been the end of it. Where things went off the rails though, is that this is where Jonathan Majors should have gotten a ton of support from the industry, especially from his peers back in the New York theater scene where he started out. But no such support came, quite the contrary. His peers back in New York were very quick to throw him under the bus and opine that the actions he had been accused of were very much so consistent with his personality and past behavior. More so than anything he was formally accused of. This was the red flag for me, and I guarantee you, this was something every last one of his commercial partners picked up on as well, because this was when the hype machine that had built up Jonathan Majors unraveled overnight. Before we move on to how Majors is losing gigs left and right, it is important to keep in mind that commercial partners dropping him does not in and of itself mean he's guilty of anything. Lord knows, if we have learned anything in the Me Too era, it is that false accusations and using victimhood to clout chase are very real things. But for Hollywood, the accusation itself is enough to sever ties because of the baggage that comes with it. Once more claims like these pop up, then as a general thing, Hollywood sees only more reasons to play it safe, and they don't have time to wait for the truth to come out. They'd rather err on the side of caution. Despite his legal team's assurances that he was innocent of all accusations, Majors ended up being formally charged and is still awaiting his day in court. This, however, was when sponsors and contractors, such as the US Army, cancelled all campaigns he was in and otherwise started distancing themselves from him. Text communication between Majors and his girlfriend that was meant to clear his name was released to the public, but that certainly backfired, because what most got out of that exchange was that she was telling him, "I'm sorry, I made you put me in the hospital." Next, scooper Jeff Snyder from the Hot Mic podcast reported that, according to his sources, Marvel were discussing future options with Major's management team. If that's true, that means Marvel were seriously considering letting him go. Again, note that this was not officially confirmed, but a rumor coming from a known scooper with a solid track record. But we at Midnight's Edge have something of a track record too. Most recently, on March 31st, we broke the scoop that Star Trek Section 31 had been greenlit internally, and on April 18th, the official announcement came. Well, in between those two, we had the scoop pertaining to Jonathan Majors as well. Here is what our own Tom Connors reported live on Tuesday, April 11th.
Take it with a grain of salt, guys. This is rumor, obviously, but I have it from two sources now that Jonathan Majors has been let go from the Marvel Universe.
No. Really?
Wow.
Now, of course, this is not something we're going to be able to really confirm probably for a while, because Lord knows they're not going to make an announcement. But what they probably will do is announce his replacement at some point, and or they will just write him out in some way. So yeah, from two sources, I've heard now today that Jonathan Majors is no more in the MCU. So take it with a grain of salt, kids.
Fascinating.
So, on April 11th, we reported the rumor that internally at Marvel, the decision had been made to fire Jonathan Majors, though no one else backed this up at the time, at least not directly. Since then, there have been a number of signs which do suggest that Marvel have indeed dropped him.
All these signs? All these signs?
4 days after our scoop, on April 15th, scooper Jeff Snyder from the Hot Mic podcast, again, reported that Marvel were actively looking for Kang replacements and that they were looking for a Damson Idris type to take over the role. Then, another 2 days after that again, on April 17th, Deadline Hollywood reported that Jonathan Majors' management agency, Entertainment 360, had parted ways with him, and he's lost even more movies since. Now, many are waiting for the official word on whether or not Marvel will let him go as well. But based on the information, scoops, and rumors at hand, we can be fairly certain that they already have. Jonathan Majors is reportedly in every episode of Loki Season 2. He is set to be the big bad in 2 Avengers movies, and who knows how many other Marvel appearances are planned for him in between. All of those planned future appearances translate to a lot of money for him, and therefore a lot of money for his management agency. From their perspective, even if everyone else parts ways with him, he is a walking money bin as long as he has his Marvel deal. No agency would dump him as long as he has that. They'd rather weather the storm for now and collect the guaranteed Marvel paychecks later on. But if Marvel were also to drop him alongside everyone else, then his agency would have no further reason to stay in the Jonathan Majors business. Then they drop him, and lo and behold, that's what they just did. What does that tell you? This is not official yet, but based on all the evidence and all the rumors at hand, it would appear that behind closed doors, without the public yet being told, the decision to fire Jonathan Majors from the role of Kang has already been made. Case in point, Quantumania has been released digitally, and while he's obviously in the movie, he has been scrubbed from all of the promotional artwork that used to prominently feature him. That's Marvel already distancing themselves from Jonathan Majors, suggesting that beyond the already filmed Loki, and who knows what's going to happen with that now, Majors and his many variants will be Kang no more. Remember that video that his lawyer said would clear him of all charges? Well, it was never heard from again, until April 19th, when TMZ presented stills from it, which showcase his girlfriend out clubbing when she allegedly should have been too hurt to do so. Also, Team Majors has found a witness that claims he didn't do anything. So, is this a slam dunk? Will it change anything? Or will it be countered by more alleged victims, accusing Majors coming forth on the same day? That's too early to tell, but let's assume that none of the gigs he just lost will be handed back to him. And let's also assume that before long, Marvel might announce their new Kang to replace Majors. If that were to happen, whatever happened with failing upwards? Isn't that what they do in Hollywood? We all hear the stories of these seeming locusts like Alex Kurtzman, Kathleen Kennedy, and J.J. Abrams, who just can't seem to get fired no matter how many hundreds upon hundreds of millions of dollars they lose their employers. But by contrast, the whole industry seems to be in a competition of who can drop Jonathan Majors the fastest. Why is that? Whatever someone might be tempted to think, the real reason is that he hasn't been around long enough for anyone of any note to owe him any favors or any loyalty. Actors who have been around for a while can frequently make a comeback from a rough patch if their movies were big enough that their earnings put some producer's kid through college or some such. That is, after all, how loyalties and relations are made. But Majors hasn't been around long enough for that to happen yet. So far, many have bet on him, but no one have bet more than that they can simply cut their losses and move on. That leaves Jonathan Majors shit out of luck. In time, he may be able to build himself back up to the level of a struggling working actor, but he'll never be the A-lister the industry tried to make him up until a month ago. Even before he has had his day in court, a day that will correspond with the release of Guardians of the Galaxy, chances are Majors will be Kang no more. Is that fair? Should everyone have waited before dropping him? And what will Marvel do with Loki and the rest of the multiverse saga now? Let me know what you think in the comments.